Hello and welcome to part 3 of my side project for the LEGO Retrospective review series. Now, if you've not watched the previous two, basically what I'm doing is, because usually when I do a retrospective review, I like to add a section into the review about the story behind the game. Now, because my next review is going to be on Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and that is a very long story to cover, I thought it best to do it as a separate video series and just reference it in the review. So this is part 3. The first two parts were on the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. This is the sequel trilogy. Just the same caveat as I gave in the first two videos. This is just a bit of fun, okay? Please don't take it too seriously. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I know Star Wars pretty well. This is a bit of parody, not to be taken too seriously, not to be taken as gospel. So yeah. Anyway, let's jump in. As I say, we're going to the sequel trilogy. Now, following the events of the original trilogy, we're fast forwarding 30 years, and the galaxy far, far away is not the utopian dream that the fall of the Empire would have led us to believe. Our rebellion ended in victory, but all was for nothing. From the ashes of an empire, the First Order arose, a new Sith Lord at the head of an army of stormtroopers, and tyranny is once again flooding the galaxy. Amidst the chaos, a resistance fights to protect the New Republic, while searching the stars for the one man who could help turn the tide of this new war, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. Yeah, it's a pretty bleak start to the trilogy, that's for sure, but don't worry, there's still fun to be had. At one point later, Leia turns into Mary Poppins. A new generation of heroes begins to arise. The cocky pilot Poe, the stormtrooper turned pointless side character Finn, the new cute droid designed to sell merch, and a scavenger by the name of Rey. Now she lives on a desert planet that isn't Tatooine. In fact, Tatooine doesn't feature at all in this trilogy. Yay! Well, actually it does feature once, but that's not till right at the end. Right, now I'm not going to lie, a good portion of the first movie's plot is going to sound vaguely familiar, so sit back, relax, and listen to originality and creativity slowly dying. On the verge of capture by the First Order and their Sith leader Kylo Ren, Poe sends his beloved droid out on a mission to deliver a message to the Resistance containing highly valuable information. Now I promise you, it's not the Death Star plans. It's the key to finding Luke Skywalker. Heading out into the desert world, the droid crosses paths with an orphan in desperate need of an adventure and eager to get out of their pointless life. But she doesn't live on a farm, so she is different. Rey lives as a scavenger, trading valuable pieces of old Empire tech for food. She does, however, conveniently speak droid and agrees to help the ball-shaped droid BB-8. Meanwhile, high above the planet's surface, a stormtrooper is questioning his life's choices and his eagerness to be more than a numbered foot soldier. With minimal backstory and explanation, he decides to help Poe escape from the clutches of the First Order in exchange for his freedom. You see, Finn can't drive, so he needs a pilot. Despite a successful prison break and tie-jacking, all does not go to plan as they crash land in the desert below, with Poe seemingly killed during the landing. Finn steals his clothes and heads off to find civilization. It's at this point that our band of heroes start to form as Finn and Rey cross paths at the local market. BB-8 is far from happy to see an unknown person wearing his master's clothes, that's for sure. Searching for BB-8 and now hot on their tail, thanks in no small part to Finn. Thanks, Finn. The trio desperately search for escape, finally settling on an old piece of junk that can barely fly. If only they knew. It's at this point that Star Wars fans are treated to what, in my opinion, is one of the Falcon's greatest scenes, as a dogfight ensues between the legendary ship and a load of newly painted TIE fighters. Love or hate the sequel trilogy, if you're a Star Wars fan and you didn't enjoy that scene, there is something not quite right about you. Now, despite neither Finn nor Rey being familiar with Falcon's controls, they put the great Han Solo to shame with some incredible flying. TIEs destroyed, Falcon escapes, all is well in the universe, and our heroes are heading to the Resistance. Or are they? Shortly after their epic escape, the Falcon is captured by another unknown enemy. Enter the OG. Han and Chewie are back. They're home. Unfortunately, there is absolutely no time to enjoy the fact that they've returned because they're both turned back to the dark side of the law and are currently in the middle of a botched smuggling operation. Hilarious scenes afoot as many a naughty gangster is brutally torn apart or eaten by giant tentacled beasts. A great bonding experience for the two generations of heroes. Han begrudgingly agrees to help and the now larger group escapes once more. Believing they've reached safe haven, Han introduced the group to Maz, a tiny tavern owner. Well, I say tavern, it's more of a castle. And she has the universe's strongest pair of glasses. Now, during the brief lull, Finn decides to jump ship and agrees to join a random merchant crew. Don't worry, he changes his mind. Rey has an out-of-body experience after finding Luke's lightsaber, and we learn a tiny sliver about what Han's been up to for the last 30 years. The quiet time doesn't last long, however. The First Order have found them. Finn, on the brink of his potential, wields Luke's lightsaber in a battle with a stormtrooper who clearly isn't a fan. Is Finn a Force user after all? No, he isn't. But the scene did spawn a meme online thanks to the infamous word, traitor! As all looks lost for our band of heroes, the Resistance arrive in epic fashion. A beautiful display of X-Wings over a lake and Han and Co are rescued. Sadly, however, Rey is captured by none other than Kylo Ren himself, the new big bad. With the First Order fleeing, Han is reunited with the Resistance and his wife Leia. Turns out Kylo Ren is actually their son and a former pupil of Luke's, who turned to the dark side of the Force. So basically, the big bad is a Skywalker. That ended well last time, didn't it? Now, with the choices he could have made in terms of role model, I mean, he didn't pick the princess turned glorious general, nor did he pick the ace smuggler turned galactic hero. Not even the most powerful Jedi alive. He picked his granddaddy Darth. Even more worryingly, we get our first proper look at Ren's base, and it turns out that he's gone all out in his admiration for Siths of the past, getting his very own Death Star-esque planet destroyer. It's a tad bigger than Vader's efforts, lazily named Starkiller. Inside, and on the verge of being tortured for information, Rey, completely out of the blue, suddenly becomes fully Force aware and mind tricks the stormtrooper guarding her to free her. Take that, years of Jedi training, this girl doesn't need you. Interestingly, the stormtrooper in question just happens to be James Bond, who was filming next door and blagged himself a cameo. Back at Resistance headquarters, the leaders are forming a plan to destroy the Starkiller base with the help of Finn. Well, sort of, ish. I mean, he says he can help, but it turns out he was actually a garbage man on site. The epic plan involves a never-before-thought-of plan of flying X-Wings to the base, having a bit of a dogfight, the main character doing an epic trench run and blowing up the core of the base. Where do these writers get their great ideas from, I wonder? There's more to this story yet though, with Han leading a small ground assault to plant explosives inside the base and helping Rey in the process. Explosive planted, escape imminent, Kylo shows up to confront his daddy. No! Oh. Now, despite Chewie witnessing the murder of his best friend, he completes the mission with the base now exploding around them. Kylo, clearly a little upset by the turn of events, tracks down and faces off against Finn in the first lightsaber duel of this new era of Star Wars. Could it be? Is it true? Is Finn destined to become the next Jedi? No, he isn't. But lucky for him, Rey shows up and we get a brief teaser of the powerhouse she is destined to become. With the immediate threat of Starkiller dealt with, Rey and Chewie embark on a side quest to find Luke, hoping that the Jedi Master can save the galaxy once more. Cliffhanger on the edge of a cliff. Unlike the other two trilogies, there is no major time jump between stories as we're straight back into the action with The Last Jedi, the movie that split the Star Wars fandom in two. It's a love it or hate it movie, it really is. Now, in all seriousness, not enough happens in this movie to justify any strong opinion either way in my view, but let's continue. Following the destruction of the Starkiller base, the remnants of the rebellion are fleeing the might of the First Order, but unable to escape. The baddies found them at every turn. They're clearly being tracked, but what do? They're not the only ones having problems though, as Kylo is called to his boss's office for a stern talking to. This is the first time we see Supreme Leader Snoke in person, though I may have bypassed his hologram visits from the previous movie. Don't worry, despite being the leader of the First Order, a clearly strong Force user, he doesn't survive long enough to be of any value to the story whatsoever. Now, off the back of a poor performance review, Kylo was having some kind of hissy fit before targeting the pent-up aggression against the Resistance in a full TIE fighter assault. The attack ends in almost total destruction of what remains of the goodies, with key characters being seriously injured or even killed in the process. Leia does her Mary Poppins thing, but barely survives. Other less Disney-powered characters were not so lucky. With Laura Dern of Jurassic Park fame now in charge, Poe, Finn and newcomer Rose come up with their own plan to save the day, but they need a codebreaker who can hack the First Order, jam their systems, and it's basically the best plan they can come up with to buy the near-crippled Resistance the time they need to escape to their hidden base. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, after much effort, Rey finally convinces Luke to train her in the ways of the Jedi. Where's an 80s montage moment when you need one? She also learns that she can telepathically FaceTime with Kylo Ren, one of the more odd new powers that this generation of Jedi have adapted. Just think how useful that would have been during the reign of Palpatine when he issued Order 66. As a side note, the live-action Kylo Ren is already shaped like a minifigure, as shown in the topless scene. Therefore, the transition to Lego was a breeze. Following their back and forth, Rey makes the decision to return to the rebellion. However, Luke refuses to join the fight, leaving Rey and Chewie to head off without their secret weapon. Left alone once more, Luke finds himself haunted by the ghost of Yoda, there to convince our once great hero to join the fight. Back with the Resistance, and what follows is a side quest involving Finn and Rose as they head to Space Vegas to find an infamous codebreaker who can help them with their plan. It doesn't exactly go to plan, but they get their prize. Next stop, the baddie's ship. En route back to the Resistance, Rey, confident in her ability to turn Kylo back to the light side of the Force, makes the decision to ditch Chewie and surrender to the First Order. She's brought before Snoke. He begins to hurt her. Kylo realises he can be good, kills his boss, saves her, and we then probably get one of the best scenes in the trilogy as the two battle against Snoke's personal guard. Getting Return of the Jedi vibes from this? Well, turns out Kylo isn't as good as we led us to believe. But he was for that brief moment. Around the same time, Finn and Rose successfully complete their mission, and the First Order take the hit the Resistance need to get to their mountain base. Sadly, it's not as secret as they thought it was, and the First Order show up very swiftly. With no hope of escape and everything the First Order can throw at them at their front door, all looks lost until the GOAT arrives. Clean cut and looking more the legend he is, Luke appears as if from nowhere to stand between Kylo and the Resistance. What first appears as one of the greatest games of dodge laser the galaxy has ever seen turns out to be Luke projecting his form using the Force, a sort of fourth hologram if you will. Let's face it, another very useful power that the Clone Wars Jedi could have benefited from. Anyway, the important thing is that this is not only a very entertaining scene showing just how epic Luke Skywalker is, but it buys the Resistance the time they need to escape through the caves and out the back, where Rey is ready to meet them, now fully powered with the Force. Sadly, however, this manoeuvre costs Luke his life. Another OG bites the dust. Fast forward a bit more down the timeline and the First Order has continued to increase in power, making the galaxy an even more dangerous place to be. Plagued by a distant voice called to him across the Force, Kylo sets out on a quest of his own, determined to destroy what he believes to be a threat to his power. But who is the mysterious voice in the void calling to him? It's none other than Emperor Palpatine, resurrected using clone technology. We also learned that Snoke was in fact one of his puppets, so yeah, glad none of the fandom invested eons of time between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi trying to figure out who he was, with many theories left, right and centre. Anyway, Palpatine's plan is simple: return the Sith to great power, return the Empire to its former glory, and he spent 30 years planning that revenge and building an epic fleet of ships to ensure that victory. But one thing stands in his way: the Jedi, Rey. With Luke now gone, it's up to the last of the Skywalkers to finish Rey's training, and Leia is there to do her bit. Outside of her brief stint as Mary Poppins, this is actually the first time that we get a glimpse of what Luke actually passed on to his sister. When word comes in of Palpatine's return, however, priorities change and a new mission begins to locate him and track him down before he becomes too powerful. Problem is, he's hiding in an uncharted region of space, and the only way to get there is with a Sith Wayfinder. Luckily, Luke was on the case to one of them and did a good portion of the work to get the ball rolling. Scavenger hunt afoot, it's time to visit another desert planet. Woo! Taking a page from Indiana Jones, Rey and the gang manage to find and solve a clue pointing them to a wayfinder. Unfortunately, in addition to the clue being written in a language that only C-3PO can read, but is forbidden to do so, the First Order are on their trail, eager to stop them at all costs. Another desert battle ensues, Chewie is captured and the others escape. Poe points them to an old friend who can help unlock C-3PO's ability to read Sith text. It comes at a huge risk though. 3PO's memories could be wiped forever. Emotional goodbye from the apparently soulless droid, and the waypoint's location is revealed to be the Emperor's personal vault. Of course, before we go there, we have to go and rescue Chewie, which they do. With the furball rescued and info provided, Rey heads off to the place, somewhere that we've secretly all wanted to go in the last 30 years. The ruins of the Death Star. Definitely doesn't look like a moon now. Wayfinder retrieved, but Kylo is there waiting for her. Epic lightsaber battle amongst the ruins. Rey wins and deals Kylo a fatal blow. But don't worry, she has a new Jedi power to share with us. Turns out, Jedi can transfer their life force to repair injuries of others. Yeah, that one would have been a bit useful during the Clone Wars as well. Saving Kylo's life, but leaving him weakened, Rey steals his ship and returns to Luke's planet hideout. This is a major turning point for Ren as he, with the help of Ghost Han, making one final cameo, returns to the light side of the Force and his Skywalker heritage. Back with the Resistance, and with Carrie Fisher sadly passing away in real life, General Leia is killed off screen. I'm sure that I'm not the only Star Wars fan out there that believes that the character deserved to go out in a blaze of glory, but this was a much more elegant approach given the real world circumstances. Anyway, with Palpatine's fleet seemingly armed to the teeth with planet-destroying weapons, the Resistance prepare for one last-ditch effort to save the galaxy, calling every single favour from every single friend from every corner of the galaxy. Now, having learned that she is in fact Palpatine's granddaughter, Rey has a bit of a meltdown in the ruins of Luke's hut. Luckily, Space Ghost Luke is there to talk her down, provide her clarity and ultimately lead her to her destiny. How very Obi-Wan of him. It's time for the final battle of the Space Wizards as Rey, followed closely by newly reformed Ben Solo, the artist formerly known as Kylo Ren, face off against the Emperor. More new Jedi shenanigans afoot as Rey and Ben telepathically pass weapons to each other, swap life force, etc. Until finally it comes down to just Rey versus Palpatine. All of the power of all of the Jedi versus all of the power of all of the Sith. Ultimately, the Jedi win the day. They are the goodies after all. During the Battle of the Wizards, the galaxy's largest ever fleet is facing off against the galaxy's best defenders with a couple of great cameo appearances to boot. With the onslaught facing defeat, Rey's final defeat of the Emperor ends with the Sith's ships falling from the sky. So basically the same plot point used in The Phantom Menace, replacing the Trade Federation mothership with Palpatine's Sith powers as the single point of failure. Bad guys defeated, the universe safe once more, well, at least until Disney decides to revive the movie series once more. Our saga is finally drawn to an end, with Rey settling on a little desert planet, taking on the Skywalker name. Oh wait, oh no, it's Tatooine again! No! Anyway, there you go. Part 3 done and dusted. That's the Skywalker Saga done and dusted. Thank you to everyone that has watched it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do subscribe, share, like, comment. Just remember to be nice, because remember, this is just a bit of fun and it's not supposed to be a detailed explanation of what happens in the sequel trilogy. Anyway, I'll be back with more videos very, very soon. Keep an eye out for the Skywalker Saga review, retrospective review, that's coming very, very soon as well. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.